There is a truth that traditional religious institutions don't want you to discover. Your psychic powers are not a gift reserved for a chosen few, they are a dormant natural ability within every human being. For centuries, this forbidden technique was kept secret by the most closed esoteric circles, passed only from master to disciple in hidden rituals, far from the eyes of a society that prefers to keep the masses disconnected from their true spiritual potential. What I'm about to reveal goes against everything you've been taught about spirituality and personal development. While most people spend years trying to find their purpose or awaken their consciousness through slow and ineffective methods, there is a way to activate your spiritual gifts in just 24 hours, and it doesn't require complicated rituals, special objects, or years of meditation in Tibetan monasteries. In fact, the simplicity of this secret technique is precisely what makes it so powerful, and at the same time, so dangerous to those who profit from keeping you spiritually asleep. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to have a natural divine connection, manifest their desires with astonishing ease, and access information that appears to come out of nowhere? Why certain individuals develop a sharp intuition that always guides them to the right decisions, while others spend their entire lives feeling disconnected from their own essence? The answer doesn't lie in divine gift, luck, or privileged genetics, it lies in the knowledge of this hidden ability that only a few have mastered. The difference between someone living an ordinary life and someone experiencing rapid manifestations and deep inner transformation is not natural talent, it's access to the right information. What separates a person who develops extraordinary mental powers from one who remains limited by external circumstances is a specific psychic activation technique that stimulates dormant areas of the higher mind. And today, for the first time, I will break this centuries-old silence and place this spiritual secret directly in your hands. If you're tired of shallow techniques that promise spiritual awakening but deliver only mediocre results, if you've tried multiple psychic development methods without accessing your true abilities, if you feel there's an immense potential sleeping inside you, waiting to be unleashed, then get ready to discover something that can completely change your life. This isn't just another pretty theory about spiritual energy, it's a practical, tested, and proven method for soul awakening in record time. In the next few minutes, I'll reveal exactly how this 24-hour awakening technique works, why it's been hidden for so long, and how you can apply it immediately to begin experiencing a level of consciousness expansion that most people would never believe is possible. But I must warn you, once you activate these dormant psychic powers, there's no turning back, your perception of reality will never be the same, and you'll start seeing the world through the eyes of someone who has truly awakened to their spiritual nature. Imagine for a moment that your mind functions exactly like a powerful radio station, broadcasting invisible signals 24 hours a day. Each thought you nurture is not just a fleeting idea, it is a specific vibrational frequency that resonates throughout the universe. This isn't a poetic metaphor or some vague esoteric concept, it's an energetic reality that few truly understand. When you think in terms of abundance, your mind emits a completely different frequency than when you focus on scarcity. It's like tuning into different stations, each one plays a distinct song in your reality. The ancient masters knew this spiritual secret and used it to manifest extraordinary results. They understood that mastering this secret technique was the key to awakening latent psychic powers. Your higher mind already possesses this natural ability, it simply needs to be consciously activated. The most revolutionary discovery in quantum physics confirms what the sages have always known: everything in the universe is energy vibrating at different frequencies. Your thoughts are no exception to this universal law. When you consistently think about prosperity, for instance, you literally become a vibrational magnet for financial opportunities. It's as if you're sending out a cosmic signal saying, "I am ready to receive." Nikola Tesla, the genius behind electricity, once said that if we wanted to understand the secrets of the universe, we should think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. He knew that the human mind possesses mental powers capable of influencing physical reality. This divine connection between thought and manifestation is not science fiction, it's pure science applied to psychic development. Spiritual awakening begins the moment you realize your thoughts are commands sent into the quantum field. Think about someone you know who always complains about life. notice how their reality always confirms exactly what they think and speak. This is not coincidence, it's vibrational correspondence in action. In the same way, observe people who maintain a mindset of gratitude and optimism. They tend to attract positive experiences with astonishing frequency. Your thoughts function like energetic seeds planted in the invisible field of consciousness. Every thought of love, success, or joy generates a specific vibrational wave that attracts compatible elements. On the other hand, thoughts of fear, anger, or frustration create interference that blocks the natural flow of spiritual energy. When you understand this dynamic, you realize you possess extraordinary hidden abilities just waiting to be awakened. Inner transformation begins the very moment you consciously take control of your mental frequency. The most fascinating part is that your mind doesn't distinguish between what is real and what is intensely imagined with emotion. When you visualize a goal with complete conviction, your higher mind interprets it as a real experience and adjusts your vibrational frequency accordingly. That's why elite athletes use visualization to improve performance. They're literally programming their minds for success. You can apply this same, forbidden, technique to any area of life. Want a practical example? Spend 10 minutes every morning visualizing your ideal life with as much sensory detail as possible. See the colors, hear the sounds, feel the textures, notice the scents. Your mind will begin transmitting the frequency of that desired reality. This simple yet powerful practice is one of the most effective psychic activation tools known by initiates. The secret lies in consistency and the emotional intensity with which you maintain those mental images. Most people live on mental autopilot, allowing random thoughts to dominate their vibrational frequency. They're like untuned radio stations, broadcasting static instead of a clear message. But you can consciously choose which program your mind will transmit. When you decide to focus only on thoughts that elevate your vibration, something magical happens. You begin to attract people, opportunities, and circumstances that match that frequency. It's as if the universe starts conspiring in your favor. This is not some fanciful New Age belief, it's a natural law as precise as gravity. The great masters of rapid manifestation mastered this art of conscious mental tuning. They knew that controlling the frequency of your thoughts is the first step to awakening dormant spiritual gifts. Every moment you keep your mind focused on elevated thoughts, you're strengthening your ability to influence reality. The most liberating truth you can discover is this: you are not a victim of your circumstances, you are the creator of them through the vibrational frequency you maintain. Your thoughts are like commands sent into the universe, and reality responds accordingly. When you truly internalize this truth, an expansion of consciousness naturally takes place. You realize that you possess immense dormant power, waiting to be awakened through conscious mental discipline. You don't have to blindly believe this information, you can test it. Choose a specific area of your life and maintain consistently positive thoughts about it for 21 days. Observe the results that begin to unfold. This simple experiment will become your first concrete proof that your thoughts truly function as creative frequencies. And when you realize the power that has always been in your hands, you'll be ready to explore even deeper dimensions of this vibrational reality. Now that you understand your thoughts operate as vibrational frequencies, it's time to discover how these frequencies quite literally sculpt your everyday reality. Imagine a sculptor standing before a block of marble. He doesn't just see raw stone, but envisions the masterpiece that will emerge through his skilled hands. Your mind works in the same way. It is simultaneously the sculptor, the chisel, and the marble of your life experience. Every conscious thought you hold is like a precise strike of the hammer, shaping the final form of your reality. The ancient alchemists knew this forbidden technique and called it the transmutation of consciousness into form. They understood that true magic does not occur in the external world, but in the ability to transform thought into tangible experience. Your higher mind has this same creative capacity, and when you awaken it consciously, the results can be truly spectacular. Modern science is finally catching up to what mystics have always known: the observer influences the observed. Quantum physics experiments show that the very act of observing a particle changes its behavior. This means your consciousness has real, measurable power over physical reality. When you focus intensely on a goal, you're not just thinking positively, you are literally altering quantum probabilities in your favor. It's as if you're sending specific instructions to the field of infinite possibilities surrounding us. This divine connection between mind and matter is the foundation of all authentic psychic powers. The great manifestors of history understood that focused thought plus intense emotion plus consistent repetition equals materialized reality. This simple yet profound formula is the foundation of every genuine inner transformation. When you master this sequence, you are literally programming the universe to work in your favor. Let's make this even more practical with an example you can test immediately. Choose one specific situation in your life that you want to improve. It could be a relationship, your financial situation, or your health. Now, instead of thinking about the problem, begin to think exclusively about the desired solution. If it's financial abundance, visualize yourself receiving a better job offer, closing a profitable deal, or discovering a new income stream. Spend 15 minutes every morning in this visualization, genuinely feeling the emotions of already having achieved this goal. Then, throughout the day, remain alert to the opportunities that begin to arise. You'll be amazed by how quickly and precisely reality starts reorganizing itself around your new mental frequency. This is one of the most powerful hidden abilities in existence, and it works because you're aligning your spiritual energy with your desired outcome. Spiritual awakening happens the moment you realize you don't have to wait for things to improve, you can actively create the improvement through the power of your focused mind. What stops most people from developing this reality-shaping ability is mental inconsistency. They think about prosperity for 5 minutes, then spend the rest of the day focused on financial problems. It's like accelerating and braking at the same time, you go nowhere. Effective psychic activation requires absolute mental discipline. You must train your mind like an athlete trains their body, with consistency, intensity, and clear purpose. When you hold a thought for at least 17 seconds, it begins to gain energetic momentum. If you sustain it for 68 seconds, for by 17, it becomes magnetically attractive. This is a secret technique known by masters of rapid manifestation for millennia. They knew that an undisciplined mind is like an abandoned garden, only weeds grow there. But a trained mind is like a masterfully cultivated garden, producing abundant and beautiful fruit. Your mental powers are like muscles, the more consciously you exercise them, the stronger and more precise they become. The difference between those who shape reality and those who remain at the mercy of circumstances lies in the quality of attention each one gives to their thoughts. Ordinary people allow random thoughts to dominate their minds. But those who have awakened their spiritual gifts have learned to be selective and intentional with their mental energy. They treat their thoughts as precious seeds being planted in the fertile soil of universal consciousness. Every thought you choose to cultivate is a vote for the kind of reality you wish to experience. When you think of abundance, you're voting for abundance. When you think of health, you're voting for health. The universe is like a democracy where your thoughts are your votes, and the majority always wins. This understanding is revolutionary because it places the power of change entirely in your hands. You don't need to convince anyone, you don't need permission, and you don't need to wait for the perfect moment. You can begin shaping a new reality right now, in this very moment, simply by choosing thoughts aligned with the future you want to live. The beauty of this process is that the more you practice it, the more natural it becomes. At first, it may feel forced or artificial to maintain consistently positive thoughts. But with regular practice, your higher mind takes over and begins to operate automatically at this elevated frequency. It's like learning to drive. At first, you must consciously think about every move, but then everything flows naturally. When you reach this level of mastery, something extraordinary happens. Your very presence becomes a field of positive influence. People feel good around you without knowing why. Opportunities appear as if by magic. Meaningful coincidences become common in your life. This happens because you've developed the ability to radiate a vibrational frequency that naturally attracts positive experiences. You become a walking magnet for everything that resonates with your elevated inner energy. And as you continue refining this ability, you'll discover there is an even greater force operating behind every manifestation, the perfect alignment between thought, emotion, and pure intention. The most revolutionary discovery you can make about your psychic powers is understanding that thought alone does not create reality. It is the perfect alignment between thought, emotion, and intention that generates rapid manifestation. Imagine three musical instruments playing separately. Each produces sound, but when they play in perfect harmony, they create a symphony that touches the soul. Your mind works the same way. When thought, emotion, and intention vibrate at the same frequency, you access a level of creative power that few human beings ever experience. The ancient masters called this synchronization the sacred trinity of manifestation. They knew this forbidden technique could dramatically accelerate the process of materializing desires. When you master this alignment, you're not just thinking about what you want, you're energetically becoming what you wish to manifest. That is the difference between wanting something and magnetically attracting it into your reality. The problem most people face is that they think one thing, feel another, and act in a completely different way. It's like trying to drive a car with the steering wheel turned right, the brake engaged, and the gear set in reverse. You won't get anywhere, only create frustration and internal conflict. To truly activate your spiritual gifts, you must align these three elements like a focused laser. When you think of prosperity, you must feel the genuine emotion of already being prosperous and act like someone who fully trusts in their ability to create wealth. This inner coherence is what the great manifestors throughout history had in common. They didn't just visualize success, they energetically embodied it long before it physically appeared. This is one of the most powerful hidden abilities that exists, the capacity to live internally the reality you want to experience externally. When you master this art, your spiritual energy becomes irresistibly magnetic. Let's make this practical with a technique you can apply immediately. Choose a specific goal you want to achieve, let's say attracting your ideal romantic relationship. First, form a clear and detailed mental image of this relationship, how you treat each other, where you go together, how you feel in that person's presence. Second, cultivate genuine gratitude for already having found this wonderful person. Feel the love, the joy, the fullness in your chest. Third, act like someone who is already in a happy relationship. Take better care of your appearance, keep your home tidy as if ready to welcome a guest, talk about the future as if you already have a partner. This triple action, thinking, feeling, and acting in alignment, is what exponentially accelerates the manifestation process. You are literally tuning all levels of your being to the frequency of what you want to attract. This is a secret technique used by initiates for millennia to awaken their latent mental powers. The key is consistency. Practice this alignment daily until it becomes second nature. The reason this alignment is so powerful has to do with how the quantum field of consciousness works. When your three levels of being, mental, emotional, and physical, are in perfect harmony, you create what physicists call quantum coherence. It's as if all your brain waves, heartbeats, and bodily cells begin to pulse in the same rhythm. In this state of total coherence, your ability to influence reality multiplies exponentially. You become a highly potent vibrational transmitter, radiating a pure and focused frequency that the universe cannot ignore. The great masters of inner transformation knew this spiritual secret and used it to achieve what others considered miracles. They understood that when you perfectly align thought, emotion, and action, you access your higher mind and awaken abilities that normally remain dormant. This is the true essence of psychic development. It's not about supernatural powers, but about fully using the natural capacities already within you. The most fascinating part of this process is that the more you practice conscious alignment, the more automatic it becomes in your life. At first, you have to consciously remember to coordinate thought, emotion, and action. But with regular practice, this state of coherence becomes your natural way of being. It's like learning to ride a bike. Once you get the hang of it, you never forget. When you reach this level of mastery, people around you begin to notice there's something different about you. They sense a presence, a certainty, a magnetic energy that wasn't there before. This happens because you've developed the ability to radiate total authenticity. You've become someone who thinks, feels, and acts like an integrated and powerful being. Your psychic powers are no longer dormant potentials, but active tools you use naturally in your daily life. And as you continue refining this alignment ability, you will discover there's an even more fundamental emotional force that amplifies all your creative powers. The deepest truth about alignment is that it requires no effort when you truly understand your identity as a creative being. When you realize that creating reality is not something you do, it's something you are, alignment happens spontaneously. You stop trying to force positive thinking and begin to simply be someone who naturally thinks, feels, and acts from a place of power and possibility. That is the difference between forced manifestation and natural manifestation. The first is laborious and inconsistent. The second is fluid and inevitable. When you awaken to your true nature as a creative consciousness, the alignment of thought, emotion, and intention is no longer a technique you practice, it is simply who you are. And in that integrated state of being, you will discover that your emotions hold even more manifesting power than you ever imagined. They are, in fact, the fuel that propels all your thoughts toward physical reality, creating an emotional resonance that magnetically attracts everything that is vibrationally aligned with your inner state. Your emotions are far more than mere chemical reactions in the brain. They are powerful vibrational frequencies that function as cosmic magnets, attracting experiences that match exactly what you are feeling. Think of emotion as the rocket fuel that propels your thoughts out of the mental realm and materializes them in the physical world. When you feel genuine gratitude, for example, you're not just feeling good, you're transmitting a magnetic frequency that attracts more reasons to be grateful. This is one of the most extraordinary hidden abilities we possess, the ability to use our emotions as tools for conscious creation. The ancient masters knew this forbidden technique and used it to dramatically accelerate their results. They understood that just a few minutes of intense, focused emotion can do more for rapid manifestation than hours of thought without feeling. Your spiritual energy responds far more to your emotions than to your thoughts, because emotions carry a much denser and more penetrating energetic charge. The most revolutionary discovery in modern neuroscience is that your brain cannot distinguish between an emotion generated by a real experience and one created through vivid imagination. This means you can literally program your nervous system for success simply by cultivating the emotions of success before achieving it. When you feel prosperous, your brain interprets it as evidence that you are prosperous and begins seeking opportunities that confirm that emotional reality. It's as if you're sending energetic signals to the universe saying, "I'm ready to receive more experiences that make me feel this way." This divine connection between emotional state and external experience is the foundation of all authentic psychic powers. The great manifestors in history mastered the art of intentionally generating emotional states that matched their goals. They didn't wait to feel good after they got what they wanted, they felt good first, and that's why they got what they wanted. This reversal of common logic is the spiritual secret that transforms ordinary people into conscious creators of their own reality. Let's apply this practically in your life. Identify an area where you want change, whether it's health, relationships, or career. Now, instead of focusing on what's missing, dedicate 20 minutes a day to intentionally cultivating the emotions you would feel if you had already achieved your goal. If it's perfect health, feel energetic, vibrant, strong, and radiant. If it's a loving relationship, cultivate feelings of love, connection, partnership, and joy. If it's financial prosperity, allow yourself to feel abundant, secure, generous, and free. Do this with the same emotional intensity you would feel if it were truly real. Your higher mind doesn't question the origin of the emotion, it simply responds to the vibrational frequency you are emitting. The more you practice this emotional psychic activation, the more you train your energy system to operate at the frequency of your desires. In no time, you'll start noticing synchronicities, opportunities, and coincidences that seem to conspire to make what you've been feeling on the inside become real. This is one of the most effective secret techniques for accelerating the manifestation of any goal. What makes emotions so powerful in shaping reality is their ability to create morphogenetic fields, invisible energy structures that organize similar experiences around you. When you maintain a consistent emotional state, you literally generate a magnetic field around you that attracts people, situations, and opportunities vibrating at the same frequency. That's why happy people tend to attract more happy experiences, while bitter people attract more reasons for bitterness. It's not a matter of luck or fate, it's pure quantum physics applied to everyday life. Your mental powers are exponentially amplified when you learn to consciously direct your emotional states. Instead of being a victim of your emotions, you become their conductor. This inner transformation is what separates those who live at the mercy of circumstances from those who consciously create their circumstances. When you master your emotional states, you master your ability to influence reality. And this isn't esoteric theory, it's a practical skill that can be developed through conscious, consistent training. The key to emotional mastery is understanding that you don't need external reasons to feel good. In fact, the opposite is true. When you feel good for no apparent reason, you create the reasons to keep feeling good. This is a radical inversion of how most people live. They believe they'll feel happy when they get the dream job, the perfect relationship, or the ideal bank account. But the masters of spiritual awakening know the process works the other way around. You have to feel the happiness first, and then the external manifestations naturally follow. When you cultivate elevated emotional states regardless of outer circumstances, you access one of the most powerful spiritual gifts that exist, the ability to be the source of your own happiness, and therefore, of your own opportunities. This emotional independence is true freedom, because it means you are no longer at the mercy of the external world to feel good. You've become a self-generating source of positive energy, radiating frequencies that naturally attract more positivity into your life. The most extraordinary aspect of emotional resonance is that it works both individually and collectively. When you consciously elevate your emotional frequency, you not only transform your own reality, you also elevate the frequency of everyone around you. It's like throwing a stone into a lake. The ripples expand in concentric circles, touching everything around. People feel inexplicably better in your presence. Conflicts resolve more easily when you're nearby. Opportunities arise not only for you, but also for those in your energetic orbit. This happens because you've developed the ability to radiate an emotional frequency that naturally elevates the vibrational field of any environment. This is one of the deepest expansions of consciousness you can experience, realizing that your inner state not only affects your own life, but also contributes to the collective well-being of humanity. And as you continue to refine this ability of conscious emotional resonance, you'll discover there is an even deeper realm where your mind can operate, an inner territory most people never explore, but which holds the most precious secrets of your true power. Your mind is the most important battlefield that exists, a territory where invisible forces constantly fight for control over your thoughts, emotions, and, consequently, your destiny. Most people don't realize they're living a silent war within their own consciousness, where limiting thoughts, social programming, and external influences compete for the right to direct their life. This mental battleground is where it's decided whether you will live as a conscious creator or an unconscious victim of circumstance. The ancient masters understood this inner war and developed forbidden techniques to reclaim full control over their own minds. They knew that whoever dominates the mental territory also dominates the physical one. This is the foundation of all true psychic powers. Your higher mind is constantly being bombarded by frequencies trying to keep it locked in states of fear, scarcity, and limitation, because a free mind is a threat to systems that depend on your submission. Spiritual awakening begins the moment you recognize that this war is happening, and choose to take your own side. What makes this battle so subtle and dangerous is that it happens at the subconscious level, where most of your thought patterns run on autopilot. Since childhood, you've been programmed with beliefs about what is possible or impossible, about what you deserve or don't deserve, about your limits and capacities. These programs function like mental viruses, infecting your thoughts and sabotaging your growth attempts. It's like having a computer with malicious software running in the background, consuming resources and blocking access to your full mental potential. The difference is, unlike a computer, you can completely rewrite your own mental software using specific techniques of conscious reprogramming. This ability to reformat your mind is one of the most revolutionary hidden skills a human being can develop. When you learn to identify and eliminate limiting programs, you unleash tremendous spiritual energy that was being wasted on inner conflicts. Suddenly, you discover that you possess mental powers you never even knew existed, because they were being suppressed by self-destructive thought patterns. Let's identify some of the invasive forces that may be operating in your mental territory right now. See if you recognize any of these patterns: the inner voice that says, "This is impossible for me," the automatic feeling of unworthiness, the tendency to focus more on problems than solutions, the belief that real change is difficult or slow, or the sensation that you need others' approval to feel valid. Each of these patterns is like an enemy soldier occupying territory in your mind, preventing you from accessing your true creative capacity. The good news is, you can expel these invaders through a simple but powerful technique: consciously replace each limiting thought with its elevated opposite. When you think, "This is impossible," immediately replace it with, "Everything is possible for me." When you feel undeserving, affirm, "I deserve all abundance." This is not just mechanical repetition of affirmations, it is a military operation to reclaim your own mental territory. With consistent practice, you can completely cleanse your mind of limiting programming and install new success-oriented software. This is a secret technique used by the great transformers of history to dramatically accelerate their psychic development. The resistance you'll feel during this mental cleansing process is completely normal, and in fact, it's a sign that the technique is working. When you begin to question and replace limiting patterns that have been comfortably installed for years, your unconscious mind may react with fear, doubt, or even subtle sabotage. It's like cleaning a room that's been messy for ages. At first, it seems to get even more chaotic. But that's just the natural process of reorganization taking place. Your spiritual gifts begin to emerge precisely when you persist through that initial resistance. The key is to maintain constant vigilance over your thoughts, like a watchful guardian protecting a precious treasure. Each time you catch a limiting thought and replace it with an empowering one, you strengthen your mental sovereignty. This conscious vigilance is what transforms ordinary people into masters of their own reality. They don't allow a single thought to enter their minds without first passing the rigorous inspection of their awakened awareness. Over time, this vigilance becomes automatic, and you develop a mental immune system that instinctively rejects any frequency not aligned with your highest purpose. The most liberating aspect of reclaiming your mental territory is realizing that you are not your thoughts, you are the observer of your thoughts. This distinction is revolutionary because it means you have the power to choose which thoughts to accept and which to reject. Imagine your mind as an airport, and you are the air traffic controller. You can allow certain planes, thoughts, to land, and redirect others to different destinations. When you truly internalize this capacity to choose, a monumental expansion of consciousness occurs. You realize you are not a victim of your mind, you are its master. This inner transformation is so profound that it completely changes your relationship with reality. Negative thoughts may still arise, that's natural, but they can no longer take root in your mental territory because you've developed the ability to redirect them instantly. You become like a spiritual warrior, always alert, always guarding the purity of your consciousness. And as you strengthen this mental sovereignty, you'll discover that you possess a far deeper inner authority than you ever imagined, a throne of personal power that's been waiting to be claimed and occupied with the dignity you deserve. The deepest truth about this battle for mental territory is that it's not just about you, it's about the future of humanity. Every person who reclaims the sovereignty of their own mind contributes to the elevation of the collective consciousness. When you refuse to be controlled by limiting programs, you are casting a vote for a world where more people awaken to their true potential. Your free mind is not just a personal victory, it is a service to the evolution of the human species. The great masters throughout history understood that liberating their own consciousness was the greatest gift they could offer the world. They knew that a truly free mind radiates a frequency of possibility that inspires other minds to seek their own freedom. This is the most important form of rapid manifestation you can create, the manifestation of a consciousness completely free from externally imposed limitations. And when you reach this level of mental sovereignty, you'll realize that reclaiming the territory was just the beginning. Now you must learn to govern it with wisdom, finally stepping into the throne that has always been yours by divine right. The time has come for you to reclaim your rightful position as the absolute sovereign of your own consciousness, to take the throne that has always been yours by divine right, but which you allowed others to occupy through social conditioning and limiting programming. Imagine a king exiled from his own kingdom, living for years as a beggar, completely forgetting his true royal identity. Your higher mind is exactly like that exiled king. It possesses majestic powers and tremendous natural authority, but has been conditioned to operate as a servant of external forces. The process of reclaiming the throne is not about developing new powers, it's about remembering and reactivating the psychic powers that have always been dormant within you. The ancient initiates knew this forbidden technique of returning to the throne of consciousness, and saw it as the foundation of all authentic spiritual transformation. When you truly step into your role as ruler of your mental territory, a natural psychic activation occurs, because you stop operating from the position of a victim and begin to function from the position of a conscious creator. This identity shift is so profound that it instantly alters your vibrational frequency, and with it, your capacity for rapid manifestation. The first act of a true sovereign is to establish clear, unbreakable laws within their kingdom. In your mental territory, these laws are the principles by which you choose to live, regardless of external circumstances. For example, I choose thoughts that uplift me, I nurture only emotions that strengthen me, I make decisions based on my vision, not my fears, I am the final authority over my own life experience. When you establish these mental laws and uphold them with unwavering discipline, something extraordinary happens. Your spiritual energy stops leaking through cracks of indecision and inconsistency and concentrates into a focused force of tremendous magnetism. It's the difference between a river scattered into weak trickles and a river channeled into a powerful current capable of moving mountains. Your mental powers multiply exponentially when you stop wasting them in inner conflict and begin directing them consciously toward your goals. This concentration of personal power is one of the most transformative hidden abilities in existence. The great leaders of history possessed this royal quality. They did not second-guess their decisions, were not swayed by others' opinions, and maintained an inner consistency that radiated natural authority. Let's apply this practically to your life through an exercise you can begin immediately. Identify 3 areas where you've allowed external forces to rule your decisions, perhaps in your career, doing what others expect instead of what you love, relationships, seeking approval instead of being authentic, or finances, making decisions from fear instead of abundance. For each of these areas, declare a new personal law that reestablishes your sovereignty. For example, in my career, I follow my passion and allow my authenticity to attract the right opportunities. In my relationships, I am genuine and attract people who value me exactly as I am. With money, I make decisions based on abundance and trust in my ability to create wealth. Write these declarations and read them every morning, not as hollow affirmations, but as royal decrees issued from your inner authority. This secret technique of personal legislation is one of the most effective ways to awaken your dormant spiritual gifts. When you truly behave as the ruler of your own life, the universe responds by treating you as such. Opportunities that once seemed impossible begin to appear, because you're radiating the frequency of someone who expects and deserves excellence. The difference between an ordinary person and someone who has reclaimed their mental throne lies in the quality of their inner presence. An ordinary person constantly seeks others' approval, doubts their own decisions, and allows external circumstances to determine their emotional state. But someone who has reclaimed their inner sovereignty operates from a stable center of power, unmoved by outer turbulence. They possess what mystics call a royal presence, a magnetic quality that naturally causes others to view them as leaders and authorities. This presence doesn't come from arrogance or superiority, but from a deep connection to one's higher mind and true identity as a creative being. When you develop this royal quality, people begin seeking your counsel, opportunities naturally come your way, and you realize you have a much greater influence than you ever imagined. This happens because you no longer emit the frequency of neediness, you radiate the frequency of abundance. You've become a magnet for everything you're seeking, because you've developed the capacity to be internally what you want to attract externally. The ultimate test of your reclaimed sovereignty is your ability to remain centered and decisive even when everyone around you is panicked or confused. A true king does not fall into despair when challenges arise. He sees each obstacle as an opportunity to demonstrate his ability to govern wisely. When you've fully reclaimed your mental throne, crises become catalysts for growth, criticism becomes useful feedback, or is simply ignored, and rejection becomes redirection towards something greater. This inner unshakability is not emotional numbness, it is emotional wisdom. You still feel all human emotions, but they no longer knock you off your throne, because you've developed a deeper identity that transcends the temporary fluctuations of human experience. Your psychic powers operate best in this state of inner stability because there is no emotional interference distorting your energetic signals. You become like a perfectly tuned antenna, capable of receiving and transmitting high frequencies with crystal clarity. And as you firmly establish yourself in this position of personal sovereignty, you will discover an even more subtle inner alchemy waiting to be mastered, the magical art of transforming any limiting emotion into fuel for your evolution. Claiming the throne of your own consciousness is not a one-time event, but a continuous process of conscious choices that reaffirm your inner authority moment by moment. Every time you choose an elevated thought over a limiting one, you're voting for your own royalty. Every time you act from your inner vision instead of external fear, you're exercising your legitimate sovereignty. Every time you remain loyal to your values even when it's inconvenient, you are strengthening your mental throne. This is the true essence of spiritual awakening. It's not about acquiring external magical powers, it's about reclaiming the power that has always been naturally yours. When you consistently live from this position of inner authority, an inevitable expansion of consciousness takes place. You realize you don't need to convince anyone of your worth, you don't need to prove anything to anyone, and you don't need permission to create the life you desire. You simply govern your inner kingdom with wisdom, and allow that inner governance to naturally reflect in your external reality. And in that position of authentic power, you'll discover an extraordinary alchemical capacity, the ability to transform even the densest, most challenging energies into pure gold, gold of growth, of clarity, and of sacred wisdom. The ability to transform dense emotions into fuel for your spiritual growth is one of the most powerful forbidden techniques in existence, an inner alchemy mastered by few, yet capable of completely revolutionizing your life experience. Imagine that you possess an emotional nuclear reactor within you, capable of converting any energy, no matter how heavy, into pure light and creative power. Your negative emotions are not enemies to be suppressed or avoided, they are precious raw material waiting to be refined into wisdom and inner strength. The ancient alchemists knew this spiritual secret and referred to it as turning lead into gold, but they weren't just talking about physical metals, they were referring to the transmutation of dense emotional states into elevated states of consciousness. When you master this art of emotional transmutation, you are no longer a victim of your feelings. Instead, you become a master alchemist, able to extract power and wisdom from any emotional experience. This is one of the most liberating hidden abilities a human being can develop, because it means there is no situation or emotion capable of diminishing your personal power. The first step to mastering emotional transmutation is understanding that every emotion carries a message and a specific energy that can be harnessed constructively. Anger, for example, is pure energy that can be transmuted into determination and focused action. Sadness carries the energy of release and can be transformed into deep compassion. Fear contains alert energy that can become wise preparation and sharp intuition. Frustration is blocked creative energy that can be redirected into innovation and creative solutions. When you stop resisting your emotions and start working with them like a spiritual scientist, you'll discover that each feeling is a gift in disguise. Your psychic powers increase dramatically when you learn to extract the energetic essence of each emotion without being dominated by it. It's like learning to surf. Instead of being knocked over by emotional waves, you learn to ride them, using their strength to move you where you want to go. This secret technique of emotional surfing was known by the masters of inner transformation as one of the fastest paths to spiritual awakening. They knew that those who master their emotions also master their power of rapid manifestation. Let's apply this with a practical technique you can use immediately. The next time you feel an intense and uncomfortable emotion, instead of trying to suppress it or be consumed by it, follow this transmutation process. First, take a deep breath and acknowledge the emotion without judgment. I'm feeling anger/sadness/fear, and that's perfectly human. Second, identify the energy behind the emotion. This anger contains the energy of change, this sadness carries the energy of release, this fear holds the energy of protection. Third, consciously redirect that energy to a constructive purpose. I use this energy of change to create solutions. I use this energy of release to forgive myself and others. I use this energy of protection to strengthen my intuition. Fourth, take physical action to channel that transmuted energy. Write down ideas, exercise, organize something, or create something. This simple sequence is one of the most effective forms of psychic activation in existence. You are literally converting dense emotional energy into refined spiritual energy. With practice, this process becomes automatic, and you develop the extraordinary ability to draw power from any emotional situation. Emotional transmutation does not mean becoming cold or insensitive. On the contrary, it means becoming emotionally intelligent and energetically efficient. When you master this art, your emotions become powerful allies rather than chaotic forces disturbing your inner peace. You develop what the masters called a warrior's heart, the ability to feel deeply without being unbalanced, to love intensely without becoming dependent, to feel outrage at injustice without becoming bitter. Your spiritual gifts flourish in this state of emotional mastery because there is no longer any internal turbulence interfering with your ability to perceive and respond to the subtle frequencies of the universe. You become like a perfectly tuned musical instrument, capable of vibrating in harmony with the highest frequencies of creation. This inner harmony is what allows your mental powers to operate with maximum precision and effectiveness. People around you begin to notice something special in your presence, a stability and wisdom that inspire trust and respect. That happens because you have developed emotional sovereignty, one of the rarest and most valuable qualities a human being can possess. The most extraordinary aspect of emotional transmutation is that it doesn't just transform your present experience, it also heals emotional patterns from the past and programs higher ones for the future. Every time you successfully transmute a dense emotion, you are rewriting your emotional programming at a very deep level. It's like updating the software of your emotional operating system. Old traumas that once triggered automatic reactions gradually lose their grip on you. You develop emotional resilience that allows you to navigate life's challenges with grace and wisdom. Your spiritual energy, which was once constantly drained by emotional turbulence, is now free to be directed toward creation and conscious manifestation. This release of energy is what dramatically accelerates your psychic development. You now have more fuel available to empower your intentions and visualizations. Your manifesting powers become stronger because there are no longer energetic leaks caused by unprocessed emotions. And as you refine this capacity for transmutation, you'll discover there is an even subtler filtering process that can protect and purify your entire energetic field. Mastery of emotional transmutation eventually leads you to a state where you become like an emotional sun, radiating warmth and light regardless of the atmospheric conditions around you. People may be caught in emotional storms nearby, but your presence remains a center of stability and wisdom. This doesn't happen because you've become detached, it happens because you've developed the ability to feel deeply without being pulled under by the current. You become a master of emotional alchemy, capable of extracting spiritual gold from any human experience. This is one of the deepest expansions of consciousness possible, to realize that there is no emotion or situation that can diminish your inner power, because you possess the alchemical tools to transform everything into fuel for your evolution. And when you reach this level of emotional mastery, you'll discover that your mind has naturally developed an even more refined system of protection, a filtering ability that preserves the purity of your consciousness, even in the most energetically challenging environments. You've made it this far because something within you knows there's much more than the surface reality that most people passively accept. Every word you absorb in this journey has planted a seed of spiritual awakening in your consciousness, and now, those seeds are ready to blossom in your real life. The question echoing in your higher mind right now is no longer, does this really work, but rather, do I have the courage to apply these spiritual secrets that so few truly understand? The forbidden technique I've revealed is not just theory, it's a practical map to activate your psychic powers in 24 hours. But this map only holds value if you choose to walk its path. How many people will go through life without ever realizing they were carrying dormant spiritual gifts? How many will leave this world without experiencing the true expansion of consciousness that is available to you, right here, right now? You're standing before a crucial choice, to keep living in the illusion of limitation, or to take your first step toward full psychic development. Just imagine how different your life will be once you fully mastered this secret technique. Visualize yourself waking up tomorrow with a stronger divine connection, feeling your spiritual energy flowing with renewed power, and experiencing rapid manifestations of your deepest desires. This is not fantasy, it is the natural result of someone who consistently applies the principles of psychic activation I've shared with you. But tell me, are you willing to invest just a few minutes a day to completely transform your reality? The awakening of the soul does not happen by chance, it happens through conscious choice. Every moment you delay the start of this practice is a moment lost from experiencing the full power of your expanded mental abilities. Think about it, if you don't start today, when will you? If you don't apply this knowledge about hidden abilities now, when will you? The time for spiritual procrastination is over, your soul has waited long enough for this transformation. Now I want to ask you a few questions that may be uncomfortable, but they are necessary. Are you truly satisfied living only a fraction of your real potential? Are you at peace knowing you possess a powerful mental command that remains dormant? Can you accept the idea of reaching the end of your life without ever exploring the depths of your own spirituality? If these questions stir discomfort, it's because your essence is calling you to act, to finally honor the unique spiritual gifts you've been given. Your spiritual awakening doesn't end here, in truth, it's only just beginning. If you want to keep exploring the mysteries of psychic power, if you want to learn even more advanced techniques of consciousness development, if you want to uncover sacred secrets of manifestation and spiritual energy that few truly know, then subscribe to this channel right now. Turn on notifications so you don't miss a single video that could accelerate your spiritual evolution. And always remember, knowledge without application is just entertainment, but knowledge applied with purpose becomes real transformation. The next video might contain the exact piece you've been missing in the puzzle of your conscious expansion.